Hello and welcome to You Sew You. My name's Zoe and this is my channel all about the crafty bits and pieces I get up to. I knit, I sew, I weave, I spin on a drop spindle and whatever takes my crafty fancy really. But today we're going to be talking about things to consider when you're buying or selling or thinking about buying and selling handmade goods. So without further ado, grab a brew, put your feet up and let's get started. So welcome back to any returning viewers, and to any new viewers a very warm welcome to you. This may sound a little bit like one of my podcast introductions, but it's not a podcast video and it's not a how I make things video. This is simply a discussion on the things you might want to think about if you want to buy or sell handmade goods. In other words, why are handmade goods priced the way they are priced? So the first thing that I would say you need to consider when buying a handmade goods or handmade item is, why is the person selling it? Are they selling it because they are a business and they are looking to make a profit? Are they selling it because they are raising money for charity? Are they selling it because they've used it, they've had the love out of it, they no longer need it, or they made it and found they weren't using it very much, so they're clearing out some space? Those three reasons are going to put the item in a different place, both in terms of where you can find it to buy it and how it's going to be priced. If you are selling something because you no longer need it, then it's going to be Etsy or Vinted. I don't know if Vinted is available in other countries, but Vinted is a UK app that, like eBay, sells used stuff, and they market specifically for clothes and accessories. They don't charge fees. So yeah, they're a platform on the rise for selling second-hand wardrobe items. So yeah, if you're having a clear out, no longer need something, or you haven't really used it, but you made it with the intention of wearing it or using it, then yeah, by all means sell it on one of those platforms. That's going to make a difference to how it's costed, because somebody's just trying to get rid of it. They just want to make a little bit of cash and clear some space in their wardrobe for other things that they're going to get more use out of, and it's a second-hand item. They're selling it for charity. Again, it might be a second-hand item, it might be in a charity store. They might be doing it as like a fundraiser for a charity that's close to their heart, and selling it online to make as much money as possible. So they might be raffling it off effectively. Again, that's going to make a difference to how much it's going to cost you to buy it. But neither of those two groups of people are really looking to make a profit. They're not looking to make a business out of it. The third group of people are looking to make a profit because it's their business, it's their livelihood. They are trying to make a living out of selling things they have made. So that is going to make a difference to the price. So your expectation of how things are going to cost you will differ depending on the reasons for why the person is selling it. And the way to work out those reasons is to look at what platform you're on. If you're on Etsy, it's likely to be a business. If you're on eBay or Vinted, somebody's clearing out some space. If you're in a charity store or if you're on a fundraising website, then they're raising money for charity. So that's the first thing to bear in mind. Why are you slling it, or why is the person selling it? The next thing to consider is copyright. Now, copyright is a minefield. If you're not sensible about it, if you don't think it through. Somebody has taken the time to design that item. Now, if it is not the person who is selling it, and they are selling it as a business, so they've made it with a specific purpose of selling it, whether that's for charity or for commercial gain, it's been made specifically to sell, they might be in breach of contract for copyright. Unless the patent specifically says you can make this item to sell it, you can make this item to raise money for charity, you can't sell it commercially, you can't sell it for charity. That's not to say if it's a second-hand item, you've used it, you can't take it to a charity shop. You can. That's clearing out your wardrobe. That's a different thing. You haven't made it for the purposes of selling it. You've made it to use it. And then you found you no longer need it. So you're passing it on. But you can't make something to sell with the specific purpose of selling it if you haven't designed it yourself or the patent doesn't tell you you can. Some patents do. Some people put that clause into their copyright to say that you can. That's fine. If you can't find the copyright anywhere on the patent, because I know certainly with my early drafts of my patents, I need to go through them and update them. I forgot to put the copyright on there. That doesn't mean that I don't own the copyright. It just means I forgot to put it on the document. But as soon as you make something and post it under your name, it's your copyright. That's the way it works. So my patents all have my brand name on. They are therefore copyrighted to me. Yeah, they are my copyrighted patents, and I will be updating those patents to include that. And new patents will have it on. So for instance, the Winterlight shawl that I made and posted on Instagram, one of my friends who I've known for a long time asked if I sold them. And I came back with I mostly knit for myself and to make gifts for family and friends, so it doesn't leave a lot of time for knitting things to sell, which is true, but it's not the whole answer. Partly it's because the copyright for that shawl belongs to Stephen West. It does not belong to me. The fact that I have taken the time to make it and chosen the yarns doesn't make it my copyright. So I couldn't make it to sell. What I would be able to do is if somebody came up to me, and I'm not offering this service, I just want to be very clear, not offering this service, but if somebody came up to me and said, I've got this pattern, I've bought it, I've got the yarn for it, I no longer am able to knit it because I've injured my hand or I haven't yet learnt to knit, will you knit it up for me and I will pay you for your time? That's different. That's somebody paying for your time to provide a service. That's not you selling the finished item. So copyright, definitely a consideration when buying or selling handmade goods, or in fact any knitwear. There are some supermarkets and big name stores who have taken independently designed patterns and sold them as finished commercially made machine knitted garments. And indie designers don't have the funds to fight that. So that is a bit shady. But it happens. So bear in mind when you are buying knitwear or anything that's being designed, who designed it? Is it the person selling it? Or have they got the pattern, the design from somewhere else? The third thing that I'm going to talk to you about is the biggest one. This is the why handmade things are priced the way they are in a nutshell, or why are handmade goods so expensive in a nutshell. It's the last thing I'm going to mention in this video. So if you are making something, it takes you time to make it, takes you time to design it, and it takes you time to make it. If you are looking to sell something for a profit, you need to price that carefully, taking into consideration the amount of time it takes you to make it, the cost of the materials used to make it, and how much profit you want to make. So you're going to take the cost of the materials, and you're going to add on the amount of time, or the cost of the time that it takes you to make it. That's going to give you your basic, the item cost this much to make value. You're then going to mark it up to make your profit. So you're going to mark it up first of all as if you were selling it to shops to sell on your behalf, and then you're going to take that price and mark it up again for what those shops should be selling it at, and that's your retail price. That's the price you're going to be showing to your customers. So if we take a pair of socks as an example, it takes me about 24 hours of actual knitting time to knit a pair of socks. We're not talking fancy socks, we're just talking plain vanilla socks. I can do them in 4 days if I'm doing nothing else, so that's about 6 hours a day of knitting time. So at the current rates of national minimum wage, or living wage as the government calls it, it's not, trust me. In the UK, when you reach the age of 25, your minimum wage becomes £8.72 an hour. It is less if you are younger. I'm not convinced that if you're under 25, your time is worth any less, but there we go. So yeah, £8.72 an hour, which I'd argue is not really a living wage, particularly if you live in a city, but that's what it is. So 24 hours at £8.72 an hour, plus the cost of the yarn. So a pair of socks out of, say, West Yorkshire Spinners yarn, Lovecraft sells that for £7.50. I think it's about the same most places you go to buy it. Lovecraft is just the one that I looked it up on this morning. So £7.50 for the yarn. It's vanilla pair of socks, so I don't really need a pattern, so I'm not going to worry about the cost of that. But it would need to be factored in other cases. And 24 hours at £8.72 is £209.28, plus the £7.50 is £216.78. That's just the cost to make the item. That's not the retail price. So £216.78 plus whatever profit you want to be making. I don't know about you, but I'm not about to pay £200 for a pair of socks. So yeah, if you want to be selling your handmade products, you want to be making a profit, you're going to need to think about things you can make quickly, things you can make with low material costs, because otherwise you're just going to end up pricing yourself out of the market or underpaying yourself. So yeah, if you've ever wondered why a handmade product is the price that it is, that's why. It takes time to make it, and time is money. If I was doing a minimum wage job and worked for 24 hours, I would be making £206 before tax. And I don't see why that needs to be any different if I'm spending my time making something to sell. It really shouldn't. And I'd argue that actually knitting is a skill, so you should be charging more for your time. So say somebody came up to me with 5 skeins of yarn, asking me to knit them a garment, I would be billing them by the hour, or at least by the day, to make sure that my time is fairly compensated. So yeah, so that's the reasons why things are priced the way they're priced. It is a little bit different when you're selling patterns. You'll have noticed that patterns are usually up to kind of £12, £14, from somewhere around 5 or 6, depending on what it's for, whether it's a knitting pattern, whether it's a sewing pattern, whether it's digital or physical. Physical copies will cost more than digital. So they take a long time to make, patterns. It takes a lot of time, a lot of thinking, a lot of calculating to get it right. So why are they so much cheaper? Well, when you've knitted a shawl, you've knitted one shawl. When you've designed a pattern for a shawl, you've designed a pattern for whoever wants to make it. You can sell the same pattern over and over and over and over again. You can only sell your finished shawl once. So that's why patterns are a lot cheaper than finished goods. And that's where I've started. So yeah, there are a couple of patterns for sale and one free one available at the moment. I'm working on a few more. I'm not very speedy on the patterns at the moment because I'm A, still working, B, still working out how to get my systems in place to speed that process up. And each time I do a new type of pattern, it's going to take a bit of time. I'm working on a garment pattern at the moment. That's going to take a while. But yeah, I can continue to sell them forever. So they are going to be priced a lot lower than if I was selling the finished garment. So I hope you found that useful and interesting. I am still considering whether or not I want to add to my portfolio of things that I sell, from just patterns to finished goods, so watch this space. It won't be jumpers and socks. I price myself out the market. Keep an eye on those, and if you've enjoyed my company, feel free to like and subscribe down below and ding that bell to get notifications when I upload a new video. I aim to load a video up once a week. Once a month will be a podcasty roundup type video. The rest of the times will be chatty videos like this, or how I've made things videos, or vlogs. Lots of different stuff coming on the channel over the course of the next few months. So watch this space, and I will see you soon. But until then, happy crafting and bye-bye for now.